Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Today we're going to unbox and look at and use a wood lathe from Harbor Freight. I took a custom order some time ago that requires some tools and techniques that are a little bit on the fringe, or actually outside of the range of my typical repertoire. So it's a learning experience and we get to work with some new tools. Okay guys, so full disclosure here on reviewing this lathe. I am a complete novice when it comes to a wood lathe. I've never used one prior to this. I have used metal lathes quite extensively, but that's a little different. Same concept, of course. You're spinning a piece of material using a cutting tool to shape it. And that's what we're going to do. But this is the Harbor Freight lathe, wood lathe. It's one of their larger ones, at least. I don't know if it's the largest, but 12 inches by 36 inches, so pretty decent size. A lot of them are smaller. And it cost me $469 plus tax to purchase this, so pretty inexpensive. It's definitely not, a high quality piece of machinery here, and that's not what I'm expecting. I purchased this for minimal use. I'm not planning on using this a lot. I do need it for some specific projects like I mentioned, and I'm excited about some other potential projects that I can now do as well. But as far as, I'm not a wood shop. I don't do that on a regular basis. So this should be plenty adequate for what I intend to do with it, which is occasional use. Now, it came in a box, pretty simple, straightforward, putting the stand together. It's, bent sheet metal. It's nothing special, as you would expect. The kids are showing their paper airplane. But, it went together pretty easy, bolted together, and got the tailstock center in there, and turning it on, it works fine. I figured out that you have to adjust the speed while it's running. It's not a gear, it's more like a clutch system. And everything worked fine. Alright, well, as far as I can tell, this is assembled and ready to use. I have the centers put in. For whatever reason, you apparently cannot use the faceplate and the headstock center at the same time, which I didn't realize. But whatever. So the next thing we need to do is to come up with a lathe tool, or multiple ones, but at least one, to actually use this thing. And I neglected to buy any because how hard can it be to forge a wood lathe chisel? Alright, so I'm going to start with a piece of 4140 round, 3/4 round stock to forge a chisel for use on the wood lathe here. And I've looked at different chisels, and you can buy them or make them in different profiles depending on what you're doing. I'm looking to build a very all-purpose type chisel that I can just primarily use to lathe down, or turn down, I should say, the body of my cane project here. And I'm just forging out the tang here. But basically what I did is I forged a sort of rectangular cross-section with a distal taper on it, and get that heat treated. In the meantime, I'm gonna make a crude handle out of a piece of hickory here, and I'm using a regular wood chisel here to try to do that. In any event, I wanted to try the lathe out and actually turn something on the lathe. I don't think a piece of kiln-dried hickory is really the best piece of wood to turn, but I was able to get it rounded off a little bit. And there we go, quench this this chunk of steel here. Pretty straightforward. I did a normalizing cycle, and then also a anneal and a couple of grain refinements. I was doing a couple of different knives along with it, so I just ran it through that process here. But the 4140 keeps a pretty good grain structure with that chromium content in it anyways. So
The experimentation begins on how to properly grind the chisel profile for this lathe tool here. And I start out with a very, very heavy profile here, and you'll see that I'll refine that down a little bit later on. But the wood is coming in contact with that top edge that you see right there, and so you need some relief underneath that so it's not going to be dragging on the end of the chisel. And then that profile, it's rounded currently, is what is actually cutting the wood, and we'll see how it works. So I've got a piece of scrap handle wood here, and we'll turn that down, get it round at least. Seemed to work pretty good. The biggest problem that I can see right here is that I think I made it too tall. So having to adjust my angle to get that chisel point in there at the right spot. And that's slightly problematic, but it's not a huge deal. The chisel can be ground a little bit narrower top to bottom. So I'm already seeing some possibilities here. That reminds me of a Fairbairn Sykes combat dagger handle right there. That's what I was kind of messing around with just to get a feel on the lathe here and see how it works. But I'm already thinking of some possibilities. So I went ahead and put some more relief into that chisel and did a chisel tip on there instead of rounded, and just to try out some different things. So right here I'm cutting into the end grain essentially, which is a lot nicer than just cutting into the side. It's a different dynamic, which if you've used a wood lathe before, I'm sure you're aware of, but that was kind of fun.
Alright guys, thanks for coming along today. A little bit different content than we normally do, but I think I'm ready to gingerly put that cane body blank between the centers and start turning it down to a cane. So I'll probably do a short video on that, just a real quick little blurb. If I get to where I feel like I can build a cane sword efficiently, maybe we'll do a whole build video on that. But anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, if you like what you see on the channel, don't forget, supporting the channel doesn't cost you anything. Subscribe, like, leave a comment, hit that notifications bell. Check out the hundreds of other bladesmithing, blacksmithing videos on the channel here. And as always, we'll see you on the next video.